Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalam ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi asma'in amma ba'du. The Honorable to Mrs. Endang Supiarti, the Head of Study Program Semarang State University, and the Honorable all the speakers who were present at the seminar International Informatics. To shorten the time before the seminar open, please allow a presenter to read out the agenda for this event, namely opening, the ORI, and closing. To shorten the time, let's open the event by reading Basmalah. I will return to the moderator.
As to MC for the time given to me, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Daffa Ra'if R. I'm here as a moderator for this webinar. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Immediately we enter the next event, which is the main event that we are waiting for the most, namely the delivery of material for the presenters. After the presentation of the material, there will be a question-answer session and discussion. However, first I would like to greet the lecturers, presenters, and participants. The Honorable Mrs. Endang Sugiarti SSIM Com from Universitas Negeri Semarang, the Honorable Mr. Ari Farhansyach Diraja and Mr. Michael Jonathan Panjaitan from Universitas Negeri Semarang. And thanks to the participants of this webinar who have participated in this event. Ladies and gentlemen, as has been announced, today's webinar takes the name International Informatics. For that, we need information to share perception, and that is what we expect from this webinar. Next, I will convey some of the provisions of this core event. We give them until 20 minutes for each presenter to deliver the material. As long as the presenters deliver their material, participants are not allowed to interrupt. The question-answer session will be open after the presenters have delivered their material. Next, we invite the presenter Mr. Ari Farhansyach Diraja and Mr. Michael Jonathan Panjaitan with the title Vintage E-commerce Payment Application User Experience Analysis during COVID-19 Pandemic to present the material.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Daffa Ra'if R for giving me and my partner time to presenting our research in this international informatic conference. Before we go into the material on the PowerPoint, I would like for the audience to raise their hand to see who in this conference is interested in financial technology or in short fintech. I will give 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, this exceeded my expectation. There are many people interested about fintech in this webinar, I see. Okay. I'm sure all of you will be delighted because our research is revolved around fintech too. Well, without any further, let's start our presentation. Mr. Jonathan, could you please share screen our PowerPoint to the audience, please? Okay, thank you, Mr. Jonathan Panjaitan, for share screen the PowerPoint. Okay, today we will be presenting about fintech e-commerce payment application user experience analysis during COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide, please. This is our short profile. My name is Ari Farhansyach Diraja, a first-year student at Universitas Negeri Semarang, and my partner is Michael Jonathan Panjaitan, also a first-year student at Universitas Negeri Semarang. Okay, next slide. Today's material will be divided into 5 parts. The first one is introduction, the second one is method, the third one is result and discussion, the fourth one is conclusion, the fifth one is references. For the first part, Mr. Jonathan will be explaining about it. The floor is yours, Mr. Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ari Farhansyach Diraja. So I will be explain the introduction of this topic. The internet has become the global communication standard in all aspects of life, including in e-commerce and transportation sector, such as online ride sharing. The internet has also helped human activities when the coronavirus outbreak struck in late 2019 and early 2020. Many countries are implementing the lockdown policy to limit the spread of COVID-19. Almost all applications that previously operated on a personal computer or laptop can be run from a smartphone alone. The existence of these new technologies has made a number of information technology-based business flourish in Indonesia. This table shows 6 top Indonesian startups that developed in the era of big data, cloud computing, and ubiquitous computing. So we can see the table. In the first place, there is Gojek, and then Tokopedia, Traveloka, Bukalapak, OVO, and JDID. And during the corona, the COVID-19 virus surge from Wuhan, China has spread through the world. Transaction with physical money can be replaced by making transaction using virtual money in e-wallets and transacting with financial technology or fintech. Fintech appears to be significantly driving economic growth in Indonesia. National governments always play a critical role in fostering adoption of ICT-related indicators. In the fintech era, all financial activities were digitized with an internet-based transaction mode and could be accessed by a website or smart device known as smartphone. This research will focus on payment transaction service, that is GoPay, which is provided by Gojek. Previous studies have focused on how the influence of trust on users who will use online transaction. That's why this study will analyze the user experience in using the application. The next part is method that will be explained by Mr. Ari Farhansyach.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Michael Jonathan, for the time, for giving me the time. Okay, I will continue the presentation. The second part is methods. The research approach applied in the study is a quantitative method that is combined with observation, interviews, and filling out the questionnaires online. The novelty used in this method includes research objects that have never been previously reviewed or analyzed with user experience. This method is divided into 5 parts. The first one is respondents. Respondents in this study were computer science students who belong to the millennial and Z generation. The students have the initial knowledge related to the development of technology based on big data, cloud computing, human-computer interaction or HCI, financial technology or fintech, global positioning system or GPS, research methodology, smartphones, etc. Next slide. The second part is research object. The object of this research is the fintech GoPay service that is available on the online transportation service that is Gojek. Gojek application can be downloaded on an Android smartphone. GoPay is used by Gojek customers to make virtual payments. Besides being commonly used for transaction on Gojek, GoPay can also be used for payment transaction at many merchants that work with Gojek. GoPay can be imagined as an e-wallet that can be filled in with balance. With the balance in GoPay, users can use the balance the same as using physical money. Payment for services in the Gojek application will be deducted immediately or automatically. Meanwhile, to make payments at merchant with GoPay, users can simply scan the barcode that is at the intended merchant. After a successful scan, then enter the nominal to be paid. If the transaction is successful, the GoPay balance will be reduced and the transaction slip will be printed from the machine at the merchant. Next slide. Okay, the third part is user experience questionnaire or UAQ. UAQ is a tool that can be used to measure user experience or UX for both web and mobile-based application. UAQ contains 6 scales or UX variables. The experience variables are indicators shown in the table. So in this case, we have 6 variables, that is attractiveness, perspicuity, efficiency, dependability, stimulation, and novelty with different indicators. Next slide, please. The fourth part is data collection. Data is collected by utilizing social technology or SOSTEC facilities from Google, that is Google Forms. After the questionnaire was created using Google Forms, it was distributed through a number of Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, etc. Google Forms has the facilities needed by creating standard questionnaires, including UAQ requirements. An example of how UK question appear on Google Forms as shown in the figure below. So in this case, this is the question number 26. So the question is aplikasi or produk tersebut apakah conservative or innovative? If it's leading toward conservative, is the value will be 1. If leading to innovative, will be given value of 7. Next slide. The fifth part is data analysis. So Google Form has the ability to display collected data in the form of worksheets. The data in the worksheet can be converted to a number of file formats. One of the most flexible file formats to accommodate questionnaire data is in the Microsoft Excel format. Data that has been in the form of an Excel file can then be processed automatically through the data analysis tool provided by the user experience questionnaire with the website below. Questionnaire entries were transformed into values to be processed. The sequence of positive and negative terms for an item is randomly generated in the questionnaire. Per dimension, half of the items start with positive and half with negative terms. The value of +3 represents the most positive value and -3 the most negative value, as shown in the figure below. Next slide. Okay, now Mr. Jonathan will be explaining about result and discussion. The floor is yours, Mr. Michael Jonathan.
Thank you, Mr. Ari. And next, we will discuss about the result and discussion. So the first is characteristic of respondent. Total respondents involved in this research were 225 people. The respondents in this study consisted of a number of 2 and 3 level students who took the human-computer interaction and research methods. The respondents were dominated by male respondents by 57.33%, while female respondents totaled 42.36%. The most of the respondents are included in Generation Y or millennial, or millennial generation is 77.78%. Then respondents from Generation Z are 21.78%, and there are about 0.44% of respondents from Generation X. And then GoPay service on the Gojek application. Fintech service on the Gojek application are located on the online payment system, that is GoPay. The information position of the GoPay service, which shows the active GoPay balance. Under the GoPay label, there is a pay menu, promos, top up, and more. In the GoRide service payment scheme, the balance will be deducted automatically when a transaction between passengers and driver occurs. For payments to merchants that work with Gojek, there is a pay button facility under GoPay. Click the button and navigate to the QR code on the merchant. One of the payment methods embedded in smartphones is technology QR or quick response codes, or we can say QR code. QR code or barcode to read an identity. The GoPay service provides a number of ways to do transactions, namely auto debit, mobile number, bank account, and scan QR code. And then mean and variance. The mean and variance of each can be seen in table. The mean range starts from 1.2 310 to 1.528. Values between minus 0.8 and 0.8 represent evaluations that are more or less neutral than the corresponding scale. Values more than 0.8 represent positive evaluation, and values less than negative 0.8 represent negative evaluations. The scale range is between -3, that is very bad, and +3, that is very good. The mean statistical results describe the respondents' mean answers to the GOPE surveys. The highest mean score obtained by the variable efficiency that followed by the variables stimulations, attractiveness, perspicacity, dependability, and the lowest variable is novelty. The next is pragmatic and hedonic quality. The UEQ scale can be grouped in two, namely pragmatic quality and hedonic quality. You can see at the table. And then pragmatic quality consists of perspicacity, efficiency, dependability, whereas hedonic quality consists of stimulation and originality. Pragmatic quality describes aspects of quality related to tasks. Hedonic quality, aspects of quality related to non-tasks. The results of the mean calculation of the three aspects of pragmatic and hedonic quality that we can see at the picture in the beside of the text. And then benchmark score. The user experience questionnaire is also equipped with benchmark data. The result of the analysis are also complemented by benchmark against a number of other products. The average scale measured is regulated in relation to the values available from the benchmark dataset. This dataset contains data from 2019, percent from 20,190% from 452 studies concerning different products. That is business software, web page, web shops, social networks. Comparison of results for product evaluated with data in the benchmark allows conclusion about the relative quality of the product being evaluated compared to other products. The highest score sequence is achieved by variable efficiency, followed by variable stimulation, attractiveness, perspicacity, dependability, and novelty. The next part is conclusion. That is will be explained by Mr. Ari Farhansyach.
Thank you, Mr. Michael Jonathan. I will continue the presentation. The fourth part is conclusion. This paper filled the research gap in analysis fintech application in Indonesia, especially related to user experience. The result of the study as a whole showed that all user experience variables for GoPay application are above the average and good categories, but none of the variables reach the score in the excellent category. There is only one variable that gets a score in the good category, that is the stimulation variable. Payment for Gojek services such as GoCar and GoRide that can be automatically paid as long as the balance of GoPay contains makes the GoPay service considered to have a good level of efficiency. With the big data analysis, GoPay services can read service trends that are commonly used by Gojek customers so that it can facilitate the Gojek to provide stimulation in the form of promos that are tailored to the needs and habits of the customer. There are 5 variables that get a score in the above average category based on benchmark score, namely attractiveness, perspicuity, efficiency, dependability, and novelty. The highest score in the sequence is achieved by variable efficiency, followed by stimulation. The third one is attractiveness. The fourth one is perspicuity. The fifth one is dependability. And the last one is novelty. The novelty in the article of this research includes, first, the research object that have never been analyzed with previous user experience. The second one, respondents who are mostly millennial and Z generation. The third reason is the result of the analysis are also equipped with benchmark against a number of other products. For further research, the authors are interested in finding out the user experience of Grab users and fintech offer payment services, as well as making comparison for the two fintech application. Next part. Next. The last one is, please go back a minute. The last part is references. These are as example of references that we use in this PowerPoint. Next slide. Okay, thank you for all of the audience for the attention. We return to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ari and Mr. Chu, for such an interesting presentation and who has enriched all of us. Now it's time for us to enter the question asked for session with the following conditions. Participants who want to ask questions are asked to state their identity first. Questions are asked briefly, concisely, and clearly. All right, let's just start this discussion session. Does anyone have any questions? Because no one asked this question as per session, so I will close this session. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the webinar, this time discussing international informatics. I would like to thank the presenters who have delivered material that is very useful for all of us. Finally, I as the moderator said goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I return to MC.
For the last closing, before we close with me, the MC for today's seminar meeting. I am apologies profile if the are words that are not pleasing to the heart of Mr. and Mrs. So let's close this webinar together with the reading of Hamdalah. Alhamdulillah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.